screen. They could probably hear us. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another NBA DFS stream with Occupy Fantasy. My name's Nick Marro. I'm here with DFS Jayhawk. How's it going, man? We got a nice little 4-gamer tonight to break down.
Yeah, man, nice little 4-gamer on Halloween here. Excited per usual to break this down. So let's break this down here.
Yeah, man. For 4 games, a lot to talk about. Obviously, with Memphis, I do have the injury report pulled up. But yeah, man, let's just get into it. So we can kind of cover everything on some of these shorter slates. Obviously, we dig a little deeper than usual, looking for ways to get different. On a night like tonight, I think that's obviously going to be important. So we got the first game on the slate here, starting at 8 p.m. The Grizzlies are going to be without Desmond Bane, G.G. Jackson, Luke Kennard, Conchart just got ruled out, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams, and Cam Spencer. I don't even know if he's with the team, but they are thin in so many words. So we do have John Jackson both available. They haven't been seeing necessarily like their full run of minutes. I mean, Jackson hasn't played more than I think 28 in a game yet this year. Just looking at his game log on my other screen here, only 29. So neither of these guys have gotten over 30 minutes. This is a back-to-back for them. If they were deep, like I really wouldn't be interested. And I am a little bit concerned about the minutes, if we're being honest, even with this team being thin. But it looks like we'll probably get LaRavia, Aldama starting here. Zach Edey probably going to start at center. Not going to play that many minutes, though. And then off the bench, we got to talk about Pippen, who's been excellent this year, Jalen Wells. Clark has been a disappointment. I don't know if we see Yuki Kawamura tonight or not, but he's at the end of the bench, and then Jay Huff as well. I just listed the whole roster. But yeah, man, let's talk about Memphis first and foremost. I'm going to pull them up here in the model. But how are you starting? Like, are there any must plays? I guess, what are your priorities for this Memphis squad?
Yeah, definitely a interesting Memphis squad tonight. Obviously down Bane and not LaRavia, Conchart tonight, down Bane and Conchart. You kind of mentioned it pre-stream. You would think we'd be getting to guys like Jaren Jackson and Jaw, but shockingly, these are guys we're not technically really looking at heavily here. For me, at least, I'm looking at more these guys like LaRavia, Aldama. I know the model loves Jalen Wells, so I think he's a great loaned value play here. So it's more of the mid-tier value guys for me for Memphis. But where were you kind of looking here for
Yeah,
Memphis?
man. I mean, I'm honestly in the same exact boat. I think LaRavia and Aldama are the obvious ones, assuming they start. But yeah, shouts out to Chuck in the Discord. He was talking about Wells before we hopped on stream here. He did close last time out, and obviously Edie's going to start a lot of these games, but he's not going to be closing. He's had some growing pains, kind of adjusting to the NBA, as a lot of people expected. But yeah, man, I mean, the Bucks haven't been that great, so this should be a relatively competitive game. Again, it is in Memphis. Haven't checked the spread since some of this news has come out, but I know the money line's still floating around 240, which is what, like 5-6 points. So nothing too crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised these ownerships haven't come up even more. LaRavia right now looks to be the most popular. I kind of think he should be 4,600, 4,500. And then Aldama, I get that he's a power forward. He's been priced up a little bit, but he's been really solid. And I'm just looking at these projected minutes. I don't know that they add up to the total that we're going to have to see out of this team. So I wouldn't be surprised as we go through the stream. We'll certainly refresh the data in the next few minutes if we see some of these projections climb, ownerships climb, etc. But I'm right there with you, man. I think LaRavia, definitely a good starting point. I like Wells' value. Totally comfortable playing them together. My question for you is this, and I wish I had more time today to kind of dig into this, but do you think Pippen shares the floor with Ja much? Because my initial thought was that they wouldn't, but looking at how short this rotation is, I guess it wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. Yeah, I agree. I think, typically probably not here, but with how shorthanded they are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 guys on the roster tonight, or probably that, or 10 guys that are going to play. I think we definitely see Pippen at least play a couple minutes staggered with Shaw. And at, 10% at 5,800, definitely not a core player, top play by any means, but I don't hate taking stabs there in tournaments at that low ownership. So he's a great producer, man. Definitely like him in GPPs.
Yeah, man. Another question for you that I think
Yeah.
we kind of have to talk about. How much jaw do you think you want to get to if these ownerships hold? I imagine they do come up a little bit. say they double. Say we're looking at like 10% on DK, 30-ish on FanDuel. Obviously, a lot of good guards for a 4-game slate, but do you see yourself getting a much jaw? And I guess I could ask the same for Jaren Jackson, just at a different position. It's almost the identical question. It's like, should be a great spot, but the minutes haven't been there. It is a back-to-back. There is some concern. But to me, I mean, if no one's going there, it probably makes a little sense to get to them. And if this game is close, maybe they do get some extra run.
Yeah, both great questions. Let's start out with Jaw here. I think Jaw is definitely fine as a pivot to a guy like a chalky Luca or Kyrie or James Harden up top.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I want to get there too heavily above the field. Maybe like if he comes in, let's say he comes in like 10%, maybe I get like 15, 20, 5 to 10% more. And then in terms of Jaren, I would love to play him here. I'm just really worried about this matchup, man. Obviously, Milwaukee with Brook and Giannis in the interior, I could see definitely Jaren getting in foul trouble here potentially, but I prefer Ja to answer the question more than Jaren.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I think I'm more comfortable mixing in Ja. I'm playing one like bigger lineup tonight. I think I had a ticket to the 44 or something, and then some smaller ones. I probably won't get to either in the higher dollar one, but I'm probably going to mix them in some of my 222 entries over on FanDuel. Let's go through some comments real quick here. He's saying hello, Unicorn as well. We got the regulars, Unicorn, Morales saying let's get some money. Tonight's going to be a Pittman night. Boyle here. We got two Nicks. Those who don't know Jayhawk's names, also Nick. We got Nick at night. Unicorn asking about Wells on FanDuel. Love it. A few other questions here. Thug in here asking about Yahoo value. We'll get to that in a minute, man, for sure. And then, yeah, DePrince saying Giannis on the cover. So let's use that to transition into Milwaukee here. And we're going to circle back onto some of this Memphis stuff. I did see a question saying, do we think where is it? So Pippen isn't starting. I honestly don't think he will, but that shouldn't prevent you from playing him. Obviously, Bane is out. Smart's out as well, and Smart's been playing limited minutes, but Pippen's definitely the backup point guard, and we do think they're going to share the floor a little bit. So even coming off the bench, if LaRavia gets the nod at the 2, don't be afraid to play Pippen. It's just they're both true point guards, so it's kind of weird to put them next to each other, but at the same time, the lineup's so thin right now. I don't think you want to overthink it. But we will have that before lock because, again, this is the first game on the slate. Looking at Milwaukee, let me quickly pull up the injury report for them. Giannis is probable. Still no Chris Middleton. A couple of G League guys are out. Nothing else really notable to talk about. But yeah, man, I mean, Giannis, another guy, obviously tremendous upside, hasn't been playing really his full run of minutes. I take that back. He played 39 last time out against Boston. This is a guy who's obviously one of the top raw point plays on the slate. Even just taking off the team tag here, I want to sort by OF index. Curious where he is at compared to Luka. Yeah, above Luka tonight. And again, this is probably going to be a pretty pacey spot, 231 point total. Dallas, I know the total is a little bit lower. So certainly one of the best plays on the slate where you can afford him. Gets pretty easy too with the Memphis value. Dame, kind of boomer bust, obviously, scoring dependent. Obviously, great upside here. Then we have the front court, Lopez, Portis coming off the bench. Prince has been better than expected. I am kind of shocked by the Gary Trent ownership, if I'm being honest. He's had a couple okay games. The minutes are there for him. Obviously, if his shot's falling, he has a lot of upside. But with all this Memphis value, I think that's one of the first guys I'm pretty comfortable fading or coming in way, way under the field.
Yeah. Just to cover Milwaukee, I'm gonna start with Giannis here.
Go ahead. I know I rambled through.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just gonna start. I love starting up top. I actually really like Giannis in tournaments. Just Memphis, typically not a team I love targeting, but they're depleted tonight, man. Obviously Jaren, pretty good defensive presence. Edie, pretty solid, but it's Giannis, man. So at 10,700, love me some Giannis tonight in tournaments. And then the rest of these guys are probably just all tournament plays for me. I guess Torian Prince probably would be my favorite for value, but in my opinion, all these guys are kind of peripheral plays besides Jonas.
Yeah, I am really interested in Brook tonight if the ownership stays kind of where it is on FanDuel, 15%. The two centers for Dallas are both really popular. I think they probably should be. Obviously, Zubac looks good. We'll talk about the other centers when we get to those games. But if he's going to stay 15% owned, I do think he could spike an upside here. But yeah, man, I want to get to a ton of Giannis. I talked earlier, I have one lineup that's a little bit higher dollar than the rest. I'm probably going to get Giannis into that. But yeah, Dame's fine. I mean, kind of business as usual, though, here for Milwaukee. Let's see what else we got going. Yeah, PG versus Bucks has been crushing. So yeah, I'm with you, Jenkins. Jaw, good play, but the minutes again, he hasn't gotten over 30 minutes yet in a game. I'm curious what we have him at. It is a back-to-back. He's healthy, but they've been kind of slow to ramp these guys up for whatever reason. We have him right at 30. I think that's a safe projection. I like him in tournaments, but obviously guys like Harden, Kyrie even feel a little bit safer. But it is a great matchup, so don't want to undersell Ja. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Other than Giannis, is there anyone you're super heavy on for Milwaukee?
Yeah, probably just Giannis. I like that Brook Lopez. I didn't even think about him. I think he's definitely. There's a ton of great center plays tonight. I'll probably
Yeah,
mix him in the rotation there.
nice man. So we are on the same page for that one. Let's see here. Let's move into the next game now. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the Rockets at the Mavericks. Pretty good game here. Houston. Steven Adams is questionable. Don't really know how to gauge that one right now. Not really a huge fantasy producer at this point, backing up Sengun, but the rest is just kind of G League guys, Nate Williams, etc. So they're healthy. For me personally, I really, really, really like Jalen Green tonight. Um, 3, 4 realies might be overselling him a little bit, but I'm kind of shocked that he's not more popular. I mean, sub AK on both sides. He's been taking all the shots for this team. We're seeing a ton of ownership going to Fred VanVleet, and I'll go ahead and pull up Houston here on DK. Um, Obviously, game log watching isn't really the way you should be kind of doing this, engaging things, but I mean, Van Fleet's the point guard. He's facilitating more than anything. He did take 8 threes last time out, 4 before it. Hasn't gotten over 40 fantasy points yet this year. But then we look at Green. I mean, really, really just coming into his own now. 3 straight games over 40 fantasy points. And again, I don't want to lean too much into the game logs here, but the usage rate's there. I mean, he's checking all the boxes. He's playing pretty much just as many minutes. We have him for 34 compared to Van Fleet's 37. But for me, you're only paying a few hundred more. Like, I am shocked that Green is so much lower owned than Van Fleet. Are you with me, or talk me off the ledge, I guess?
No, man, I couldn't have said it better myself. I've always, well, it's varied the past couple of years, but I mean, Jalen Green's now becoming his own. I think he looks fantastic in tournaments. I love that call. Obviously, Dallas, not like a stout defensive team by any means, especially on the perimeter. So, yeah, love Jalen Green. And, Van Vliet's, he's kind of safer, I guess, play, but the upside is really within Green. And as a tournament player, we want those huge ceiling games, and I think Green really fits that mold. So, yeah, love Green, and I love him as a pivot to Van Vliet, like you mentioned.
Right. I mean, there are going to be games where Van Fleet gets his 50 plus fantasy. Like, it's going to happen. But
Yeah.
we've just seen so much more to Green to start the season. I'm just kind
Hmm.
of confused by the ownership. So happy to zig where the field zags there. Not getting to a ton of Sangoon, even with the price dip, just because there are so many good value centers. One guy I do want to talk about a little bit is Tari Eason. So not playing a ton of minutes. Just want to pull up what he's been doing lately, though. There's so much value in Memphis. I mean, will all of it get there tonight? Maybe not. Has Eason been great? Not really, but I do think he's kind of a pivot in this price range. If you're playing 150 lineups, looking for a way to kind of differentiate your portfolio a little bit. I don't know. 22 minutes last time out. That's a good sign to me. I mean, this is a guy who usually doesn't play over 20. Maybe that's a trend that we see continue. Can't really bank on it right now, but just wanted to shout him out. It's kind of a low owned value play. Any interest in Eason? I mean, I get not really getting there on DK, but if not, is there anyone else on Houston that you see yourself getting to here?
Yeah, so starting out with Eason, I would love to play him. He's obviously a fantastic producer when he does get the minutes. It's just the minutes is the concern. 19 projected minutes off the model. If you want to sprinkle in some, I think he's fine. I probably won't get there too much myself. And then for the rest of Houston, I guess besides Van Vliet and Green, definitely not going to play Dylan Brooks. I'd never play that guy. Um, and then I guess you could get a sprinkle of Sengun. I just think we have so many good mid tier and value center plays today that I don't know how much Sengun I'll probably get myself, but he's definitely in play.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, that's where you're getting Eason. Like, if you're a single entry or cash player and really not a play at all, but I will say the same for Sengun. Like, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, he's pretty low owned. It's very easy to get over the field, play him in 10%. We know he can spike in upside, so no issues there. But moving on to Dallas now. No Dante Exum, no Maxi Kleber, which does seem to matter more than maybe some would expect. Brandon Williams is up from the G League. I don't think that really matters much. But yeah, where are you at on these guys right now? Kyrie has been excellent, point per dollar. Really hasn't seen much of a price increase. Luka is Luka. We haven't seen those ridiculous ceiling games much yet this year. We know he's capable of them though, and again, with so much value in Memphis, he's kind of easier to get to than usual. Then we got to talk about the front court. I mean, Gafford and Lively have both been really solid. I like to play Gafford against kind of the more brawlic and big centers, and then Lively against kind of more athletic teams that kind of use the swing five. I don't know, it's just smaller teams in general, but I think where they're priced, they're both kind of in play here. But yeah, give your kind of top to bottom look on Dallas. For me, I'm getting to a ton of Kyrie. And most nights I have a pretty firm stance on whether I'm going Gafford or Lively. Tonight I kind of like both. Probably wouldn't play them in the same lineup, but where they're priced, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah. So Dallas definitely intriguing as a whole. Let's start with Kyrie. You mentioned you had the most of him. I think he looks fantastic here. I will just say, I feel like we did have Kyrie as chalk. I think it was like not 3 sites ago, but the one of the first sites he was on. He did not play the fourth quarter. I don't expect that again, but 7,500, man, I think he looks fantastic. I will say, if we're gonna get Luca at 20% though,
Yeah.
it's so tempting not to play Luca as like a not necessarily a pivot, but like just directly straight up over Irving. So I think Luca looks fantastic as well. Houston's been very vulnerable to guards early on this season, so I think both these guys look fantastic. And then to cover Gafford and Lively, oh man, I hate picking these guys. I would probably lean Gafford here, but I think they're like you mentioned. I think they're both firmly in play.
Yeah, and the reason they're both firmly in play again is because Kleber's out. They're kind of absorbing some of those minutes. So again, really no reason not to like either of these guys. And Sengun's kind of like in the middle. Like he's a pretty big center, but not some like huge physical presence. Like Nurkic ate Lively up, and Gafford was much better against him. I think that's a decent example. But like against someone like Sengun, I don't necessarily have that strong of a read. Like against Wemby, I'm going Gafford. Like against a team that plays kind of small ball five, I'd be going Lively. Sengun's he's big. I mean, I guess I lean Gafford a little bit cheaper, but I don't think you could go wrong either way. Any Clay Thompson tonight too. I guess he's been pretty solid. Obviously, Luca's shots have been down. I think a big part of that is that Clay is a much better shooter than say Tim Hardaway Jr. or whoever else they've had in there. But he's inconsistent, obviously. So where are you at with Clay?
Yeah, so let's just say I'm not the biggest like Clay fan in general, but for DFS, obviously a different conversation. I think he is in play. I will just say I prefer most of Dallas over him. I may even prefer PJ Washington.
Hmm.
He has those ceiling games. He shot really bad last game, so he'll probably regress this game. But yeah, he's in play. I probably won't get there that much, but obviously great matchup. So if you want to sprinkle in some Clay, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And obviously, they play different positions, but Washington and Clay, super similar players, reasonably priced, plenty of upside, very, very low floor for both of them, though. It's been a few minutes. Let's go see what we got going on with the comments here. I'll go back to Thug and Thuggin now. As always, asking us for the top Yahoo value plays. Happy to do it for you, man. I know you are of a dying breed, but we got a lot of Memphis here. We got Wells at the top. Jay Huff might not see the most minutes, but obviously could see a few extra here for Memphis. Laravia, we're seeing Champagne continue to pop, even though, no pun intended, even though he's been struggling a little bit. Pippen underpriced as well. So it is a lot of Memphis here. Kessler's underpriced. But yeah, I'd be starting with Wells, Laravia, probably Pippen over there. But yeah, let's use that to transition into another question here. So Power maybe has some insight on the starting lineup. If anyone gets that Memphis starting lineup, I don't have Twitter open right now. Just trying to keep the internet firm. But if you see that, please do post it in chat, and we'll talk through that. But he's saying he thinks Wells might be starting. Seeing it as a coach's decision note. Yeah, my gut is Laravia, but I think Wells plays as many minutes as the starters. So do not shy away from Wells. Someone else asked if we could play Wells in Bain's absence. That's Eli K. Shouts out to Eli. Certainly, absolutely. Irving Green, small stack. Chris, absolutely love it. It is going to be, I was going to say chalky, but it won't because no one's playing green. So definitely like that a lot. But yeah, guys, keep getting those questions in. Again, 4-game slate. We got to get a little bit weirder than usual. Happy to talk through some plays that maybe on bigger slates we wouldn't. But let's get into the third of 4 games here. We get the Spurs at the Jazz, 221-point total. Spurs on the road in Utah. Let me pull up the injury report. David Duke, ex-net, out. No Trey Jones. Devin Vassell still working his way back from injury. Nothing else really significant other than that. I mean, the first talking point is probably Wemby, right? I mean, Pop in him. I mean, if he's playing well, probably gives him his full run of minutes. If he's not, he's very quick to kind of pull him in and yell at him for a little bit, maybe shorten that 33 minutes we have him projected for. So Chan, one of the chalkiest plays on the slate. I'm getting there. Like, I have no issue playing him at high ownership. He's just been tremendous. Guy who came into the league pretty raw in his talents. That point guard experiment failed, and he really is another guy like Jalen Green, kind of coming into his own. Really, really like Sochan here, even as chalk. Keldon Johnson getting some love over on FanDuel. I'm not crazy about it. Honestly, if I'm getting to anything here, it's Sochan. But other than that, I mean, maybe it's a mistake. I'm just not getting to much San Antonio right now.
Yeah, man. You mentioned Sohan. I mean, not up top. Sohan for San Antonio. He's by far my favorite play here.
Yeah.
I've been playing him the past few slates he's been on. It's almost like we've had Trey Jones out for them. He's kind of really, stepped up to the plate when Trey Jones has been out. So I love Sohan here. And then I also think Wemby, in tournaments, man, we mentioned Giannis. I think Wemby's probably 1B for me. Utah is not particularly good. Potentially down. Did we get news? Is Markkanen's in, right?
Still questionable as of
Still questionable.
6:30. I don't know if that news has come in since, but I just have the official injury report from 6:30 Eastern.
Yeah. I think Wemby could probably feast here against Utah. So I like him as well at 15% in tournaments. And then, sorry, I was gonna mention someone for Utah. I was like, slow down. I need to slow down. We're not in Utah yet. And
Oh, we'll
then,
get there in a second. Yeah.
yeah, that's probably it. Those two are probably my two favorites from San Antonio, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and I will shout out Harrison Barnes. I know it's disgusting. I know no one wants to play him, but again, all those Memphis guys are kind of in this mid 4K range. Like, if some of them fail, you're playing 150 lineups. Use Barnes as kind of a way to maybe mix in and get different. Not a priority for me at all, but I'm more comfortable with him than both Champagne and Keldon Johnson right now. Trying to see what Keldon Johnson's been doing lately. He's been coming off the bench, not playing 30 minutes. I don't know. I'm pretty comfortable coming in under the field, even though he's pretty cheap. But yeah, let's get. I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about Utah, so I'll let you start here. Where are you at with Utah right now?
Yeah, man. So Utah is a team I want to be heavy on here in tournaments. Just particularly with this doubt with Markkanen. As a tournament player, I love having these later guys questionable because it just opens up a ton of leverage for tournaments. So starting out, I think Jordan Clarkson, either way, if Markkanen plays or doesn't play, I think he looks fantastic here in tournaments. At 5,200, I think he's too cheap. So Clarkson, I love either way, but really big bump if Markkanen's out. And then, I think, all these guys are in playing tournaments. Sexton at 5%, I think he's a little bit too cheap. I think he's probably too low owned. Kessler, 5,700. Obviously not a great matchup against 1B, but they'll need his size out there. So that's a big thing. Going to play the minutes. He's a great producer. So like Kessler in tournaments. And then obviously Markkanen, if he plays, he should come in really low owned. Great matchup. I think Markkanen as well firmly in play at 7,800. So tons of options for me for Utah here. What's your kind of lean for Utah?
Yeah, I mean, the play I'm most interested in is probably coming off the bench and John Collins.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. I know the minutes haven't been there, but his like fantasy point per minute rate right now is like ridiculous. I mean, he's hitting value in like 18 to 20 minutes every single night. No one wants to play him. He is honestly a little bit overpriced, but I don't know. I like a lot of the chalk tonight. I like Sochan. I like Giannis. I like a lot of the Memphis value. I think Collins is a way I'm going to try to get a little bit different. We've seen him go for 30 plus in 3 straight games, so at that price, I'm comfortable. I like Clarkson and Sexton. I'm mixing their names together. Probably more than I like Keontae George. I just think they spike a little bit more of an upside for their prices. But again, wide range of outcomes, kind of similar to Klay Thompson, maybe a little bit safer, but high ceiling, low floor. But if Laurie's out, I mean, you got to boost all these guys. I think Collins would become a priority for me more than just a way to get different. I like Kessler in the front court. I think he's reasonably priced. Obviously, tough matchup against Wemby, but he definitely benefit a little bit with Lori out. So we got to keep an eye on that news. I did want to ask you about one Kyle Flapowski. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Came off the bench, had a really good game. I think it was Hendricks, right, who's down for the year, unfortunately, with that brutal leg injury. But yeah, is this someone we should be considering? I think they raised his price too much. I was kind of hoping he'd still be cheap, but Kyle, I don't even know how to spell it. Filipowski coming off a game where he went 5 for 10, 8 boards, a steal, kind of did everything. I don't know. He wasn't on my radar at all. But is he someone who we think is going to stay in this rotation?
Yeah, man. I think
doesn't even have a picture.
Yeah, I know. I know him from Duke. Obviously, played at Duke last year.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say this, but I never really played him heavily in like for college basketball DFS. Not saying that translates to NBA DFS, but I think he's fine. Definitely a bigger bump here from Markkanen sits.
Oh yeah.
I just think this Memphis value as of right now is, well, it's not really safe, but it's safer probably than Flipowski. But he's more of a, for me, monitor, wait for this news, and then reevaluate from there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was driving at. Like, if Markkanen's out, I think I'd rather get to him than maybe Cody Williams or Sensabaugh, who maybe draw some of that ownership. So just a name to keep an eye on. Not really someone recommending at this stage. Let's see what else we got coming in here. So one more from Eli. So Harden or Wemby to fill in the last spot on DK. And I'm going to use that as a means to transition in. Or wait, we already talked about San Antonio. So no need to transition. We'll use the Harden part to transition into the Clippers. But yeah, Harden or Wemby, for me, it's Harden. But you got to make sure the rest of your lineup has some lower-owned plays in it because Harden is super popular.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot more Harden as well. But I agree. It's got to be, if your lineup's chalky already, definitely got to look for. My kind of rule is if you're playing a lot of chalk, typically 1 to 2 lone guys. I usually have 1, but if you want to be safe, you can go 2 lone guys with the chalk. But it's
yeah, it kind of depends on the size of your contest. Like if you're in one of the huge ones, you probably need 2. But yeah, I'm with you, man. You don't need to get too weird in NBA. I mean, a couple low-owned guys usually enough. Yeah, let's talk through the injury report for LA first. No Mo Bamba. Kawhi obviously out for a long time. PJ Tucker, I don't even know if he's part of this team anymore, but he is on the injury report. But yeah, man, Harden's been great. Zoo has been great. Both these guys seeing increased usage with Kawhi out, Paul George out of town, and another guy, Norm Powell, who's been tremendous. I'm kind of surprised he's not over 6K yet. 30% on both sites. I plan to come in over that. I'm very comfortable getting there. I mean, Harden, obviously more upside, obviously way more expensive though, and he has been kind of looking for Powell on a lot of these drives down the court. Powell really seeing massive usage. So that big 3, and I don't mean to call him a big 3, it's just easy and lazy, but I like Harden, I like Zoo, I like Powell. Not getting to much else for the Clippers, but where are you at on this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have covered it better myself, geez, if I can speak here. I think Zubac, Harden, Powell, the clear-cut top 3 plays here. Obviously, Zubac and Harden, first 2 guys in cash build, I think. And then Powell, as long as he keeps chucking, I played him on last Sunday night. He shot horrific in the first half, but I think this is the fantastic matchup. So I think all 3 of these guys firmly in play here. Yeah, man, and as long as Zubac stays below 7K here on DraftKings, I don't see any reason not to play him. So Nurkic obviously is a tougher matchup here for Zubac, but either way, they'll need his size out there. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I had no issues. They did face off on the 23rd. Zoo pretty much got to value barely, but I do want to talk about Derek Jones for a minute. I mean, we both kind of glanced over him, however you want to say it. He's been good though, and like honestly, a lot better than I thought he's been. Just gonna pull up what he's been doing lately. I don't think he can sustain this, but at the same time, he's relatively low owned. Just another one of these guys in that kind of low K, 4K price range that you could probably mix in. Coming off 2 games where he's 6 to 7x his salary. Can he keep it up? I mean, he's getting blocks and steals and doing everything. I don't know. Probably not. But at the same time, it's a guy we know can play 30-plus minutes. He's in the starting lineup. Fine to kind of get to as a last piece in. But again, I'd rather get to those other 3. But you have any interest in Jones?
Yeah, just real quick note with Jones here. Jones is typically a Occupy Fantasy DK value legend. He's almost always the top of the value for DK. Honestly, FanDuel too. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, he's right there behind you.
Yeah, exactly right. I think he's definitely play as like a fourth guy to target here. I don't know, man. He obviously can keep getting steals and blocks, but I feel like at some point this is going to have to regress. Maybe it doesn't tonight. Who knows? But I don't know. I'll probably be just around the field. I'm not going to go crazy with it with DJJ here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want my night to hinge on Jones, but he has been good. He's hit a 3 in every game so far this season. I mean, at some point that streak's going to end. But yeah, I'm fine with it. Then we got to talk about one more team here, and then we'll take more questions, kind of talk about kind of the slate overall in general. But Phoenix, on the Phoenix side, looking at the injury report, I think Brad Beal went through shoot around. He is listed as questionable. I personally am projecting him to play. No Okogie, no Ty Washington, a couple other G League guys listed on the injury report, but first, I mean, if Beal's in, I like him. He's been shooting the ball extremely well. If he's out, I'll probably get to a little bit more Booker or KD. Tyus Jones kind of rounding into form a little bit cheap. I like Beal and Jones here. Definitely more than the field seems to. But where are you at on Phoenix right now?
Yeah, so Phoenix, obviously, their ownership kind of reflects where most of the field's out here. I think they're all fine GPP plays. Um, KD, obviously, he's projecting as the best play here, 16 and 23%. I think he's probably a little bit too cheap on DraftKings. Probably the safest option. My favorite play here from Phoenix is actually Tyus Jones, 5,400. I think he's a little bit too cheap. He's been pretty good for them. So, point per dollar, I probably would lean Jones. But yeah, I think guys like Beal, Booker, definitely good tournament plays. My kind of question is like, with such a, obviously it's a four gamer, but it's kind of tough to predict, night to night who's going to go off for Phoenix.
Mhm.
But I will say it's a great game environment. So that's the good pro with these guys.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm with you on Jones, especially DK. The fact he's only 13% owned is kind of shocking to me. Like he's been crushing value at that price. So really no issue there. And I will just say on Beal, like obviously one of these three probably has the better night than the other two, but I think like over the next few weeks, we'll see his price kind of creep up and over 7K. So to me, he's a little bit underpriced right now. Booker kind of came out gross to start the season. It seems like he's rounding into form though. Played 39 minutes last time out, which is a good sign. So I'm fine getting to any of those guys. Booker, Beal, KD, definitely going to have a lot of Tyus Jones. Royce O'Neal, another ex-net, shouts out. Coming off the bench, he's been playing really well. Kind of put him in the same exact category, though, as like a Derrick Jones Jr. Just someone you could maybe mix in if you're playing a bunch of lineups, but not really someone you want your night to depend on. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh the data here, check for any other questions. Then we could go ahead and do a quick build. I know you are on Discord duty tonight as well, so if we can jump maybe 5 minutes early, happy to let you get a glass of water, whatever you need. But yeah, just as we transition here, just want to shout out everyone in the Discord, in the channel here today watching us. If you're not a part of the Discord, definitely check out the links in the description below. You get access to all the data you see here, which updates in real time. We also have a lineup builder behind the paywall that's very, very helpful if you're someone who likes to mass multi-enter. And yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps us get more free content like this out to you. And I also want to shout out Young Thug, who is now free from jail, 15 years probation. I've been very depressed all day after my Yankees lost. I've been very closely following that trial. Thug's one of my favorite artists. Completely off topic, insane to even bring this up, but it's on my mind. I got the shirt on. Good vibes tonight. Completely wiping away the Yankees from everything and just going to take down some contests. So let's get into this here. I don't see any new comments, guys. So if you have questions, feel free to get them in. But where are we starting? And I don't think is the Memphis lineup out yet? I haven't seen it.
I don't think so. Let me refresh Underdog.
It
What
should
time
be
is
like
it?
within 10 minutes, but
Yeah, we should have it by 7:30 Eastern. Yeah, no lineups just yet.
okay.
But I
All right.
imagine
Well,
I
we kind of have an idea, but I'll pull up
think
their depth chart. I mean, who's first in for you? I mean,
I think it's got to be what Sohan for sure.
oh
5,800.
yeah, Sochan. If we're not talking about Memphis, it's definitely Sohan. But
Oh
yeah,
my
I want him. I want him. I'm
What
with you. He's in.
model loves Wells. I think Wells is great value. Let's throw him in there as well.
Yeah,
Maybe
I agree.
yeah.
I mean, they need Aldama size against Giannis,
Well,
5,700. And then who
Laravia
is it?
too.
Laravia too. Yeah, so it becomes a question of if you want to play Pippen or not. I like him, but let's see what we can do with just 3 Grizzlies. I'm very comfortable getting to 4. I know we're going to get the question. If you want to get to 5, fine. I'd say probably try to run it back with Giannis though, and let's do that. Let's get Giannis in here if we can. 6,400 remaining. Tyus Jones.
We can throw Tyus in there. I was just looking at guys. Yeah, Tyus is fun.
Yeah, he's cheap. We still have a guard spot too. So we're almost at 7K per player with 2 spots left, small forward and guard. Small forward's tough. I like Norm.
Yeah, I was about to say Norm is good at forward. I like him a lot.
And we get a pricey guard. I mean, we'd probably have to move some stuff around. We can land on Green.
Can we get Zubac in there potentially and move Giannis to forward?
That's a good call.
I think
that's the thing. I don't know where the Grizzlies have these guys. Laravia's power forward only, which is annoying. Aldama's power forward only, which is annoying. So Chan, I think they took away his point guard. Yeah, all these guys are power forwards. So if we want Giannis, we can't play Zoo, unfortunately. We could pull Powell and maybe go, I don't know. There's really nothing I like cheap. It sucks because they're all power forwards.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid. We could. Are you in love with Aldama? We could throw Laravia into the forward spot, and then
can we get to Zoo?
Can we move Giannis into util or something?
Let's see what that looks like. First, we'll go Laravia.
I mean, Aldama's still in play. I was just for
for sure.
Construction.
And this leaves us with 75 for guard, which is
that was so close to
Kyrie.
Oh, Kyrie, perfect. There you go.
Chef's kiss. That's a beautiful lineup. I like it a lot. But yeah, keep an eye on that Memphis lineup. Again, I think we're going to see Laravia, Aldama, starting with Morant, Jackson, Edey. But again, it could be Wells. And even if it isn't Wells or Pippen, I think both of those guys are excellent coming off the bench. Clark gives me some pause. Huff I like, but just kind of pricey for the limited minutes. And then Yuki's one I'll probably leave out. I'm not playing 150 tonight. Shouts out KT. Yes, sir, Thug Free. I went from such a low on the Yankees, man. And it's insane. These are two different worlds, but it really has helped me out today. We got football tonight, too. I know Brian has a video up for the showdown. No more sports equinox, unfortunately, with baseball now being over. But now my focus is here. We are all NBA all the time into the new year. Going to be grinding these slates, man. But I'll give you a couple minutes back. But any last thoughts or words before we wrap this one up?
Well, just before we wrap it up, do you want to cover this? First of all, make sure to check out the daily plug for the NFL and Brian and our content. But also, Lauri Markkanen's out, sir. So we have to look at Utah as well.
Okay. We'll give you guys the goods. Give me 1 second here. Just going to refresh some data. I don't think the model is going to account for it right away. But do we think they start Collins now?
Potentially, yes. I think so.
I almost hope they don't because I would love him to stay alone. But it would have to be Williams with Filipowski or Sensabaugh. I'm thinking it's probably Collins.
But I think Collins looks really good now. I agree. I think he looks a lot better.
Yeah, I don't think the data is going to be this quick. We probably have to give it 5 or so minutes, but that's okay. But let's see.
Dude, so many power forward plays tonight. Laravia.
It's all power forwards. That's
man, what is going on, man? DraftKings, can we flex these guys?
Give Sochan his point guard back. I mean, some of these Memphis guys can play wing. Put them at small forward. Exactly. What are you doing?
What's going on?
Still no updates anywhere yet. That news really just broke, huh? But yeah, my guess is we see Collins slide in the starting lineup. If he doesn't, I still think he's the play over Williams, over Sensabaugh, over Filipowski. If Sensabaugh starts, I mean, I still prefer the Memphis value. I think if Kyle Phillip starts, he's someone I'll probably like to mix in a little bit. They did raise his price, though, so maybe proceed with caution. I guess there is a world where they put George, Clarkson, and Sexton together, but that's kind of gross. I don't think they should.
You can never really know. This Utah coach is the absolute worst with rotation.
Right, man. I know. We got to add him to our list with Carlisle, Doc, and some of these other guys.
Who else? No, the worst is what's his face? Steve Kerr, dude. Oh my god.
Kerr's bad, and Nurse has gotten worse and worse.
Dude, Steve Kerr, I could write an essay about how bad he is at rotations by itself, dude.
Yeah, you hear he benched Kuminga because of text messages or something the other night.
Yeah.
Stupid. So the projected lineup I'm looking at, this is not official, actually has Filipowski as the starting power forward with Collins coming off the bench. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't mind Kyle. Keep an eye on the data though. I mean, if he's chalk, Cody's chalk, or Sensabaw's chalk, I'm not crazy about it. If no one's playing Filipowski, I like him. If Collins stays low owned, I still like him more than all of these guys though. So just another situation to monitor. But you have any takes on this Utah thing? Because I don't know that we're going to get the data before we hang up here.
I think my kind of standard, like what I'll probably do is I already like a lot of these guys in the late games, like Tyus, Powell, Harden, Zubac. I'll probably just have like a flexibility just to, if I need to move around some of these guys based off starting lineups, I will. So
Yeah.
it's kind of my take there.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I mean, Cody Williams is kind of an enigma. Like, I don't know what we can really expect out of him. I mean, Sensabaugh, he's had a couple okay games in starting lineup last year, but not a guy I ever can really rely on with any confidence. So I'm very comfortable getting to Collins, just hoping he gets a few extra minutes, even if they come off the bench. Um, but I think that's all for now, man. So again, guys, definitely keep an eye on that Utah starting lineup. Beal's questionable. I think he's going to be in. Just another thing to monitor, and obviously the Memphis lineup when it comes out. But good luck tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I think I'm back here tomorrow. If not, I'll see you guys next week. Otherwise, get behind that paywall. We're always there, chopping up in Discord, where Jayhawk will be in just a few minutes. So take care, everyone. Have a great night.
Happy Halloween, everyone. And
Yeah,
stay safe.
happy Halloween, too.
Stay
Let's make
safe.
some money.